Well, let's do this. I'm gonna get started, and I'm gonna pass over to Birgit. But I want to look. For those. I know there's some new names on there that I don't recognize, and there's certainly a number of people that I do recognize. So, we're pleased. I'm first of all, I'm the president of the BABC. I'm not going to say very much because I feel I'm in the company of people that are doing things in film and television that is new to me. I'm a consumer and enjoy watching stuff, but I've known Birgit for a number of years, who's got multiple Emmy nominations and wins, and we have somebody here today that has done things that even exceed Birgit, which is very impressive to me. But Jenny, I want to just thank you for taking the time to join us. I know that you were in LA and we're honored with an award, which I'm sure we'll hear about on this conversation. But I want to just thank you that you've given up your time to talk to some of the BABC community. So look, with that, I'm not going to say anything more, Birgit, because I want you to. I know you're going to make some proper introductions, but just wanted to thank everyone for joining and look forward to the discussion. So over to you, Birgit.
Good morning. I'm joining you from Spain today. Anyway, I'm honored and humbled to be able to introduce our amazing speaker today, 3-time Oscar-winning costume designer, Jenny Beavan. Jenny has been nominated 12 times for an Oscar and won 3 for Room with a View, Cruella and Mad Max Fury. She's also won several BAFTAs and Emmys. She was appointed Officer of the British Empire, and last night she was honored with the Career Achievement Award by the Costume Designers Guild. We're so grateful that you made time to speak to us today about her experiences, her stories, and her life lessons learned throughout her amazing career. Jenny is joined today by costume designer Marianne Parker at L'Ermitage today. And before we get started, and we'll be able to listen to Jenny speak to us, I would like to share with you a very special film about Jenny's career, courtesy of the Costume Designers Guild. Thank you so much and enjoy the conversation with Jenny. Here with MacGregor, please.
So, let's begin.
What have you done?
What a lovely day!
Leah.
Easy.
To love is to burn, to be on fire.
We're going home.
How horrid.
Don't move. We may be hunted like animals, but we will not become animals. Everything is all right.
Hello, boys.
You're Parker, Dad!
It's a sign.
There's no What?
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Jenny. And thank you all of you for joining us this morning. So after our lovely evening at the Costume Designers Guild Awards last night, and you received the Career Achievement Award, tell us about that.
Well, it is an incredible honor, obviously. And what's so lovely about those evenings is it's being with other costume designers. Because on a film, you're normally the only one. And often even the preparation period, you do with your own workroom. So you don't meet a lot of other costume designers. But the Guild, of course, an evening with Guild, everyone will be there. And for me, that's just terrific. And I think we're quite a fun community. And we all share the same experiences of, it's not the easiest job, it's very challenging, but we all kind of win through somehow or other. And I didn't know there's a real spirit with costume designers. So it was a great evening. I was extremely honoured, but I did point out that I'm lucky it's not the end of my career because there's still things to achieve.
Definitely not the end.
Literally.
Okay, I have a few questions that some other people have written in, and Birgit has gone through them all and selected some for us to answer. And so we'll start those real quickly. So, reflections on your Oscar-winning projects. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects, what your favorite parts or aspects about them were or not.
I have to say, I just had the luckiest career ever. And actually, watching that video, that bit of film, I was just reminded about incredibly lucky being to work on things that one of you. I started my career really with Merchant Ivory. And Jim always says he brought me up. So you saw, but Father said, particularly brought me up in the costume world or in the film world. And that was a very early film. I did it with John Bright because by that time we were a team. John Bright, who owns Cosprop, one of the greatest costume houses, and not being rude to anyone in LA, but Cosprop is extraordinary, and particularly for that period costume. And so it's pretty tricky. I mean, in those days, we were very small crews. So in Italy, and we do some big crowd seats, there were 4 of us. Salitana looked after all the main actors doing their corsets, their stick collars, and generally keeping them in order. I, who was pregnant at the time, he said bending is a bit of an issue, with William Pierce and Elena Pulitia, a local costumer from Florence. Basically dressed, we fitted everyone, then we dressed and undressed all the crowd every day. And that was it. These days, I think you probably have a team of 20. I might be wrong. I'm not very good at just knowing exactly how many you need. But we did it. And I'm really proud of what it looks like. So that was pretty terrific to get an Oscar. And John and I got one each together. And that was very, very special. The next Oscar, I was really shocked because it's Fury Road, which is a completely different kettle of fish. And George Miller basically opened up my career. He took a risk on me. James Ivory took a risk on me way back when. But George Miller took a risk on me because I was only really known, but what they call period costume dramas, which is ridiculous because every film is in a period and every film normally requires costume. But anyway, I was known for some corsets and bonnets. And then, so that was pretty amazing, to get an Oscar for that work. And very exciting to do the work. And then the last one, Cruella, again, wonderfully different, which is part of the joy of being a costume designer, is that every project is completely different. And you're not ever stuck in one genre or one type of story, swing from whatever to whatever. Always challenge, which is great. I think that keeps you young and motivated. And so, yeah, that's really one for a student.
And that's great because that's one questions that I'm sure you get all the time is, what is your favorite thing to costume design? And it's such a boxing in question for designers.
And to be honest, I don't. I'm very happy to do as many Jane Austens as are thrown my way because they are wonderful stories. And I think that's my big thing about any script. If it tells a good story, I'm in. And I really don't mind what period it is. I've done most genres of costume design. I've done every period. I have done in Rome, the Pre-Smithsonian. I haven't done Elizabethan. But I kind of without that, I just want a really good story that I know is engaging and connect.
All right. Creative challenges and resource stories. So, of all these various genres and historical periods that you've worked in, what settings kind of presented the most challenges, creatively speaking, and how do you approach? Yeah.
There's so many different challenges. I did a film very recently, last year in England, which was just on the most minute budget. It was a phenomenal script by Alan Bennett. He's one of our greatest writers. And it was set against the First World War up in Yorkshire. And truly, it got bigger as they do, crowd scenes sort of enlarged. And it was a struggle to do it. But thank goodness, in Yorkshire in 1916 on a mill town, people didn't have a lot of clothes. Bit of the same thing with Cranford, actually. But that's also done extremely small budget. But if you know that in those days, people didn't have a lot of clothes, but they used accessories. And still you can get away with a lot because the different lighting states, the different locations, scenes look different. People don't, unless you have something exactly so they don't realize that they're actually wearing some of the clothing. And in a way, it's quite good because you keep a character consistent. But I would say that was a challenge, but it was a wonder. I'd get it well, really lucky to do. So money and time are, I suppose, my greatest challenges. And I mean, working in Kenya on Manchester Moon is very interesting because we're often in very remote places working out of tents. And India I've done also out of tents of very remote places. So the challenges are each one, I mean, Cruella was a challenge. It was a money problem. They invented that. It was time. We had so little time because we've got a window of opportunity and a stern schedule. And it's like, girl, so there's loads, but I think now I'm better at working out how to approach the problems, not necessarily solving them, but how to approach them. That helps you then work out a way to do it.
What about the Mad Max? You have some desert and sand, and is some movie magic going on there to help you out?
Sand. I still am fighting sand 10 years later from Namibia. I mean, it got everywhere. And yeah, it was incredibly cold, actually. As any desert could be, the wind's coming. They put it the east wind. Very remote. Namibia is a beautiful country, and they do make films there. But you're a long way from anywhere to get any supplies. It always come in either by boat to Walvis Bay, or you can obviously fly to Cape Town or Johannesburg. But it's not straightforward. But luckily, through Fury Road, which we shot in Namibia in a town called Swakopmund on the coast, Swakop is detritus and Munt is map. And it's basically the map of the river Swakop, where when the floods come, or the rains in summer, the dead sheep carcasses or whatever come down and all pile up in Swakopmund. And very haphazardly, but it's a beautiful, but it's very interesting place. But the landscape and the was extraordinary. So you absolutely know why we would have put it. And it really was a wasteland, sand, desert. But you kind of make it work. And we worked with the local crew. We had a few key people came in from Australia or South Africa or England, but very few. And otherwise we worked with locals, locally, local people who are very skilled at making local work. The tourist market, beautiful beadwork. But people are quite used to making things in repeats and things that are really raw and organic and dirty and, made out. I mean, they did amazing work. But the recent one in Australia was easier because I had a very, very experienced. We really understood it all. But,
And were you able to use some of the costumes from Fury Road?
Absolutely, yeah. We had, they were very well kept from 10 years during the two films. And so when I was up to Australia, eventually, because we have COVID and restrictions, minute.
We're in 2 years. Lord.
Well, if you think of, when we actually got to Australia. But we were 18 months on that movie, wrapping it. But the costumes were beautification, kindness and sick. So we got them all out and could use, there were some boots and old army gear that we could sort of repurpose and dye and paint and use, which was very, very helpful. Because curiously, they're not made on that big budget, either of those films. Real money goes on visual effects, particularly Sesson is very shot it in Australia and it's pretty ghastly conditions. And a lot of that was visual effects. Whereas in Libya, we were so much some of the film, we were much more using than attention.
All right. Collaboration and adaptation. So, having worked with directors like James Irated and George Miller, how do you tailor your creative process? Like, what's the differences when you learn from one director to another director? You try keep and help create their vision.
You just, like you would in any normal social situation, you try and adapt to the person and, get on with them and listen to them. That's very important, listening to them. Because you're always doing it, you're always part of a collaboration, but you're not right. I think it's not particularly the books, they're such different people and they mainly are quite specific in the way they want to work. Some directors just give you to it, like Jen. They'll give you a very limited view. Jen gave us some photographs from Alinari, which were of the time, 1905, 1910. And Ismail gave us a colour brochure of rocks, which, as John said, was handy. Samples to feed that. So that was our information. And just said, that's the Italian bit, the kleine bit, and scrollably angry, that's semi. You just absorb that and felt absolutely right. England's softer and browner, and Italy was in that Christmas night. Then George was much more, because he's more auteur, so I made the project, he's written it, and she's an artist, but he's got images and much clearer on some of it. And then there's Helene's, which other bit that's a big do. It's a real collaboration. But one needs to be taught. Yeah, it's much more of that.
I find that a lot too, that there's certain parts of projects or certain parts of each that the directors are more focused on, and then other areas that they're like that side that do that wrapped it. Yeah, and as well.
And some are not criminals and never leave you alone, and some leave it. And that's sort of also interesting, just working with the whole thing is so interesting because it's always good.
Adapt. Are there any memorable or humorous stories involving actors during costume fittings or on set that you can share?
Well, I'll give it a whirl.
Don't need to name names.
Okay, so I'm doing a fitting in the movie, and the actress involved is very comfortable in the corset, and she needs a corset, and maybe this is, because it takes a harness, and the harness is, and my arm, the back arm's quite heavy, and so it needed something to support that on their body, so that, you can be wrapping it tight. So we made a little leather corset. It's really comfortable, and I went all the British. No, so Dad, you're happy. Yes, we do make books. Just looked and said, take the compliment, bitch. George Miller let you wear woof. And obviously, and I think it's the most wonderful thing that anyone had ever said. It really stopped me bluffing around in the future. Just take the compliment. I loved it.
That set your relationship from there on.
Absolutely fine. Every good on the house. I bless.
Tell us about where do you find inspiration over those days?
It's really odd. That question in that normally I'll find when I read a script, I can always see it and the colour. If it's a well-written script, the choral, which is the one I did Yorkshire last year, I could just see it. I mean, it's Yorkshire, it's grey and blue. We shot us in really bad weather, which actually is perfect in the story. It's a heartbreaking and hilarious film, which it will be. And it just goes along to see it, and that was fine. So the inspiration was easy. The detail came from the fact there's loads of photographs and reference if you go into my theatre newspapers, what have we. So we were fine on what it should look like, and even mill workers and things were recorded. So that was great. Then I go to Cosprop because we did stock clothing, which again is great because it's sort of unlike they're not brand new things, so I'm having to break down and make look old. They have a great stock, and I get really let characters from stock, so I was getting inspirations from that, which I get when I actually costume. I'm pushing a mannequin. I'm going through D. I don't do drawing as my prime things. I do mood boards, but I'm basically working through D upon a mannequin with existing clothes, school project, and new mates. And so that's, and then when I see things, I kind of know where to go. But in terms of other builds, Furiosa Fury Road, I mean, we just trawl the internet. It has made lives so much easier. I think it's a mixed blessing. It's ease of communication. It's brilliant for sharing information, but actually has a moment when you think, oh, you can change everything at the last minute because you're all supposed to be completely glued to your phone or. So anyway, it's a mixed blessing. That's Furiosa. You sort of just keep lowering your nose on the internet and it leads you to things. And it's a rabbit hole that you find images you hadn't thought of. I mean, I look at everything from sculpture to the wonderful African artist that's called Junkman about Dinan Brizlite, and he makes himself a recycled anything. He's an extraordinary man. I just look at his work and think, it's stuff that. And I didn't use direct. I just get the inspiration from it. And sort of bait the directed into Africa.
So speaking of internet, looking back on your career, how do you feel like technology is become more embedded in the world, in our world, especially in costumes and but the imbalances?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's any substitute. Dressing, fitting an actor. When you do the fitting, that is when you know when it's going to work. There's no amount of AI drawings on iPads. Anything's really going to help create, to me, and people will speak this, a real working costume on an actor that actually you connect with. I mean, it may look very good, may have all the detail in the world, but it won't be true in my thing. So I find I'll still work exactly the way it's did, which is if we don't have it, i.e. in a costume process, like Furiosa, we make stuff as prototypes so we can dress that. We find stuff in that surplus and jammers game, vintage markets and wherever to work and we'll paint it, we tie it up and we do stuff to it. But it's always working with real clothes. And then when you actually get the actor, the real actor, because you can do it on fits, but they don't have the same body. So that's the whole thing. So that side of it, to me, and the way I work, as I've changed the job. I do use artists. A real artist who really draw, and they draw on real paper, and then they're translating to the vision computer, and they can do layers and all that stuff to make it easier. But the great thing that has changed is this sharing of information, being able to access research really easily. And I think it's bliss. It's the best way. But it will change hugely. Yeah. But the way I work is I still handwrite lists of yeah. I do too. I do hand first and no shots. And hand that is it cements in your brain. But if you're used to so much, I can't.
So we talk a lot. People think that a lot of the work we do is so glamorous, but these guys, we read all the actors, directors. What say you about our glamorous life?
She dispute that. I would say it's not the least bit glamorous, but that's fine because glamour is a least interesting thing. Unless you're designing glamorous outfits, because that's what's needed for the film. But in real life, no, it's lies. You look very dirty. You're often in very muddy unit bases, flying around, wearing Wellington boots and weather is not often not inside. Trying to keep actors warm and dry. We're supposed to be in high summer. Yeah, it's the reality of it. And then last night, of course, it's glamorous. Everyone's dressed in the nines. It's absolutely lovely. And everyone's having a good time. And that's when we drank champagne. And I think that's when it is fun and glamorous. And I did try and I dress up a little bit or look anarchic or whatever. But the real job couldn't be less glamorous. But it's much better than it's funky and fun and challenging and rewarding and
It's I have a question come through here. Can you tell us a little bit about Mr. Harris Goes to Paris?
Mrs. Harris. Miss Harris goes to Paris, yes. And well that was quite funny actually. I was informed when I got the job that I'd be working alongside Dior, and Dior would be doing the Dior Elements show. If I told it flat out, they obviously didn't know, but it was so horrible when I said her mum was working with them. No, c'est pas vrai. And I go, oh, okay, fine. Anyway, I do know uncomfortably if we understand Dior, we understand his instruction of good first. So John Bright again and Jane Law, who made the aforementioned corset, and they basically remade it, but with Mike's a bit over it. It was a lockdown, but it was very, very difficult to work. I mean, you had to have, you weren't supposed to associate at that time. So I was doing a massive amount for Zoom, FaceTime, what have you, which is, again, fantastically useful. Jane and John both had fabrics. I was getting hold of fabrics was really tricky. And we had a bit of luck with a couple of importers up north, Manchester, which is good to fabric, sort of central England. And we had, but both John and Jane did help stuff, like Cosmos and Jane's work. So the choice of fabrics was actually, to some extent, what I could get hold of for the Dior show. And we also could fit the models because they were in Hungary and they could travel. We couldn't get the actors, they were in Paris and they could travel. We have to do all else for next. So it was seriously challenging. And I'm really troubled.
Can you give us some of your thoughts on what would you advise as far as costume designers? Not as to you, but about the business and what to be prepared for it. Or what would your advice be for aspiring or customers already, working but in the beginning of their career?
I mean, it's changed so much since I tried, and I started in straight theatre. I was a set designer, not a costume designer. Although at theatre we did our costumes, of course, but I was primarily known for doing sets, and that's all right. Much to is break world and do huge structural builds. But I've been to the costume side, of course. I would suggest these days that you learn a brief skill you can get hold of. It's quite interesting being a designer because you do have a massive amount of PR and negotiation with directors, producers, and that doesn't suit everyone. And having to lead a team. But there's lots of jobs within design that are really fun, might suit whoever better. So, but in a way, it's really good to know what was good. I mean, I started just, you probably realize, was so few people in the team. We all had to be able to do anything. I mean, I can read back waistcoat, not that great, don't look too closely. I can I human dimension, it's colors, but I can paint. I can sew. I can chant, but everyone's better at it than I can do than I am. But I can do it, and I know what's involved. I went trying to tailor a suit out of slurpy fabric. I know that I wouldn't be able to do it, it'd lead to problems. I'm not very good at screen, so I think it's just great to learn everything. Even making good tea and coffee is a skill. Laundry, I managed to dye every night shirt pink once because I didn't notice the pink stocking. They have got in with the white laundry, and that's my disaster on my first jobs. But it's worth really, really worth. Absolutely. Learning to sew, learning to cut, learning to braid, learning to dye, bend, and break down age. And buying is a fantastic job within our log, because you have to link in to Sana and know where to get stuff.
So there's so many other positions, as I just listed some of them. Maybe being a designer isn't what you're cut up for or enjoy, but there's so many other positions in the costume department and to still be in that world.
And the other part is actually dressing and looking after the actors, organising the truck supervisor, and the costume supervisor, organising the team and the crews and getting the cutters. And, there's a lot, which is very creative. And always part of the whole look of thing in the act. But it's just not for everyone on the actual day. And what do you feel on today?
And you can specialize a lot too, like loners and sheep, guarders, and
Absolutely, yes. There's lots and lots of areas within our world.
illustrators, or
Lots of
what are some other life lessons that you, costume design or costume design has taught you that you apply to life?
to life, bite-sized chunks. It's one of my favorites. It's my mantra. So I was doing a huge book, rather last minute. Seems to be my way, and a rescue mission. And I really thought I could do this. I hadn't really taken in the time and the enormity. So I went to Pinewood on the first day of month advocates, and went home and ran my friend Stephen Miles, who's my main maker, friend, mentor, all sorts. And I said, be ready at 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to pick you up. We're going to Firewood. He said, very legend. And off we went. By the end of the second day, I ate it in there. I thought, we had 16 weeks. It was a whole lot about of Waganella, the Persian army, and the Macedonian army, and the principals, and the armor, helmets, you name it. I thought, what mad? I said to Stephen, he can. And he said, oh, yes, we can. Approach it in bite-sized chunks. And I just felt that was probably the most fun thing. So we did. We just organised our time, organised what we needed. I mean, we did have sheep, but I think that's been problem. So, well, it was a real lesson, and I use it for everything. I mean, if your bedroom's in it looks like a stupid wardrobe, which might not, just do one drawer at a time. Don't be overwhelmed. So if you feel you take on a project in the film, and you feel just completely overwhelmed by bite-sized chunks, just start writing down a list. Go back through the script and make notes of where you might find stuff. It's such a good way of progressing with that.
And then you have the satisfaction of crossing things off that. I just drill it.
I do the most awful thing when I haven't written it on the list and then put it on, cross it on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm absolutely,
Because your list can grow during the day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you're hiring or looking for team members, what's some of the things that you look for?
It's people I like, because you're going to be with them long hours every day. Obviously, I know a lot more because I've been about for a long time, which is really helpful. Of course, the supervisor is the one who has the crew, not me. And I know my supervisor, I know the crews that bring. And so that's pretty wonderful. But it's, yeah, I mean, I'm sort of really looking for new people, possibly for the next project if it works out. So I'm just sort of keeping options open, keeping my ears shut.
But work ethic is always a really important one.
Yeah, you do need people who prefer to work hard and not be grumpy when they're asked to do ridiculous hours because you've just got to get it through. But if you support your crew and you are nice to them, you normally find they'll do whatever and be very, very obliging. And you know, we do get paid for every time. It's not like these days, I think it's not. It's to be.
Yeah, one of the other key things that you all know, we need to be very flexible and able to turn on a dime. And that's not everybody's personality either.
No. So I guess, yeah, I just want to know other people who will do that. And I'm very, very obliged. Yeah.
Any other life lessons you think of? I think one of the other ones we were talking about that we touched on briefly, line that you talked about last night, was just, being kind.
Oh, being kind. Well, yes, I suppose I felt it. Yeah. No, it is being kind. Yes, I think crucial. Makes life so much easier and nicer for you. So when you go on the truck in the morning, people are pleased to see you. You go to workshop first thing in the morning. Furiosa. I had such joy going. When we started, although we started at 7, so you had to get there. It's like, and it was about 40-minute drive from where I see
How long to get there?
Picture Laura. So, it's a long day. And then we did finish pretty promptly at 6, 5:46, but still, it's a long day. And it just makes it so much easier. If there's a sort of happy atmosphere when you get that big high, yeah, and you don't go through. So I think kindness. And I did a lovely film called White Bird. It's on streaming, but it's not ever got dealer. But actually, and it's a really beautiful film, and it is all that kind of. I thought it was so apt, and I was really proud of what it looked like. We actually checked the puppet, which is a great place. So I love that. And it's set in France in the war. It's a Jewish story, but it's really beautiful story, and kindness. And I was so thrilled to work on it, and then so sad it didn't really get the promotion it should have had. Because when people see it, they love it. So please see it if you get a chance.
What's it?
I got a bit of self,
It's called White Bird.
White Bird.
And tell us a little bit more about any upcoming projects that you can talk about, or
It's working on. It's very tricky at the moment because there are projects and lovely things. There's several independent films, but at the moment in England, funding for independent films is very tricky, and I think it is here too. And we do rely in England on money from the States. And at the moment, the strikes really did for us. Us all, I think. You have the actors and the writers. And yes, I do understand, but I come from the era when unions, particularly in England, I'm not mentioning it here at all because I'm not the field, but were very difficult. They kept me out, it was my book Frost and Simon, and it was run by some mafia of older men who were just jobs for the boys, and it was pretty unpleasant. And my feelings are, I didn't really like all that much. And I did feel, although I'm sure the strikes were very necessary and trying to be very positive for what they were trying to get, that's helped, and negotiation would be a much, much better route. And that's the world I come from, and I'm very happy for other people to really dispute that. And I'm very happy to be a member of the Guild because they've been very supportive to me, which I sort of didn't say last time, but I meant to, even before I was a member of the Guild. It's great. And I do understand there's a need for it, but it's just getting the balance right, which has done wrong at the moment because work is tricky. So I'm very lucky. I have many projects. There's some wonderful independent scripts, but I've also got an incredible script from a huge project, which may or may not come up, which would be really exciting. Again, different, but I can't really say anything. I know they want me, but there's still things to be negotiated, and that's lovely. But the independent ones, I'm hoping we'll just sort of push to next year when things maybe easier financially in England. Because they are very, very good projects. Really wonderful scripts.
What else can we talk about? Yeah, we've gone through a lot.
We have.
Perfect.
Any
real
questions?
Anyone? Let me see. Let me check. Any more questions coming through on the comments? Oh, no sense.
Yeah, I don't see any in the comments at the moment. I know there's a lot of people still on the joining. If you want to send questions in, let's get some questions as well. Birgit, are you able to monitor the questions?
Tell us. So there's BAFTA, and then there's the Academy Awards, and I haven't all memorized all this. Wait, was it the same movies that you won? Which movies did you win for which?
Yes, I think it's definitely the same ones. Like you can't go. I had a BAFTA for the cards. Oh, it could be go so far. Oh, that was not it, which I didn't get the Oscar. Yes, I mean, but the others are the same. Cruella, Fury Road, and Wind Review. Yeah,
It's interesting that they are often so similar
yes.
across
I
all the
think this
platforms.
is quite different. I really looked at who's. I mean, Paul Taste were obviously for Wiki because I thought that's totally true, and it's nice to like him. And there's detail, and I had people who worked with him on that film and absolutely adored him, which is always nice. So Paul is there from every award, but I probably went. But I don't know actually who else is up this year because I've been a little bit preoccupied with stuff, and that so I didn't. I just get to be honest.
I know I'm a listener. You'll here. I'm still marked. I will you'll see that too.
Yeah.
Maybe I can ask.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I can ask a quick question because I know, and I can see some of the people on have been honored by the Queen or the King recently, but I know that you also received a very high honor, and I think it might be interesting just to hear why you received your honor and who gave it to you. What was the experience? I think that would be a fun story to hear.
Oh, the OBE. I think it's the Officer of the Order of the British Empire. Some people don't like the word empire, so they won't accept it. I was terribly honoured. I thought it was great. I got it for services to drama as a general overall thing. I think partly because I'd done quite a lot of help. Curiously here, the Say Empty Now, Naked Without Us, because the Guild were very helpful to me, and I thought, well, at least I could use my voice and write that all over my shirt when I got a nomination for Cruella. So that was quite fun. And, it just brought it to the attention. And also that seemed to do at that time quite a lot of radio interviews in England about that. So I think I was just quite high up in the thought process. But anyone can nominate anyone in England for an award of this type. And I think it's up to the palace that decides whether you're an NBE, which is a member of the British Empire, or an OBE officer, or whether you're a CBE, a commander of the British Empire, whatever, or a knight, or a lord. John is an OBE, but he really should be Lord Bright. I said Lord Brightness because he's done so much for not only costume designers, costume in general, and his knowledge and his own work is extraordinary. To use as a foundation for children in disadvantaged areas to learn skills of drama and filmmaking and what have you. He's always been passionate about education. So he really should. And maybe next year, I mean, you can be elevated. You don't stop by being just an ODE, come up dame or a whatever. I doubt it, but and but it was great. I was given it by Prince Charles, who I've always been rather fond of, and of course he's all start at the palace, which was fascinating. And of course, I love all the unicorns and swearing and do great note taking in my mind. But if I ever had to do a similar scene in a film, I'd know where to get what legal wall. So it was just a great day, really. I loved it. Suck it.
All the parking pageantry. Why? I'm too, because I'm Canadian.
Well, they have that. Yeah, we love a bit pageantry. Yeah, I love the uniforms. I love the whole solemnity, like when they have a state funeral. It's always fascinating. The carriages, what people are wearing, the horse ones, and treating the colour. Yeah, I love it.
So the tradition's really important.
I think I didn't see them.
Parking, ties in your life that are important.
Well, okay. That's a very humble way of describing it, but look, I think well done on the OBE, and hopefully the KV is coming soon. But
yeah, well, I think Baroness Bevan of the asylum, I live in a house called Asylum House, would be suitable. Yeah, I have put this.
Just one last question. I know we're coming up on time, but we really appreciate it. I've enjoyed, and I actually, by the way, love the whole setting of tea and questions. It's or tea and coffee, but maybe just some final thoughts of, we're obviously a British organization with a lot of Americans that like the links. I mean, what are some of your views of working in the UK versus working in LA? Because I imagine just with your job, you're back and forward to the US a lot as well. I mean, any thoughts in terms of, the connections between the two?
In truth, I've never worked in LA officially because I wasn't in the guild. And the films I've done may have well been financed by the Disneys and the Warner Brothers based in LA, but I've never been actually set here. I did a little bit on Black Dahlia, which we actually shot in Bulgaria. But then when we came back here to establish it was LA, I did come with it, and I was allowed to be not on the set, but in the background, because obviously I was the costume designer. It was Brandon Palmer. And people were very kind. They didn't seem to mind what they were at, but I just kept very low profile. And the only thing that seemed extraordinary to me was that in England or UK, or normally Florence, wherever, when you're doing crowd scenes, you put a crowd and you use them round and round. So if nobody really notices. So all the matching libraries and many, many films, we fit the crowd, and then obviously you fit them to the different needs of them. Oh, coffee, yes, thank you. But what happens is they're often the same people. So Room with a View is the best example. We're in Florence. We filmed the same people basically in the same squares. But actually, the crowd are all the same. One day I did change all the English tourist hats. I didn't want to bother because you'd never notice it. Here in LA, when we did Black Dahlia, they fitted every crowd person, supporting artists that called now, but they are part of the background look, for every different scene, and changed them. And it was like, I believe it, because the money, the whole thing is we never have enough money to do that. And it's like, how did he do it here? But obviously that's what happens. So it's something that's really stayed in my mind, is that every supporting actor was fitted to one street in one costume, and then another street in another costume. No one would ever have known. And I was just sort of mind blown by that way of working and doing it in increments of 7.5 minutes. So the whole structure of pay wasn't, you got a day pay. It was 7.5 minutes, and you got paid for the 7.5 minutes you did, or the multiples of 7.5 minutes. And then if they decided not to shoot the next day, they just didn't, and nobody got paid. And it's like, I don't get it. We're much more, you get paid probably much less than England. But also, and that's just something that I found very, very fascinating. Very different. That's the only thing I've done here. When I work in all the other countries, we're normally under British rules, or, just normal, what I call normal. And I can't think. France was interesting when we did Ever After because in France they have so many social security payments and stuff. It was cheaper when we were right down in the Dordogne to bring extra crew from England, and that involved their travel, their hotels, their per diems, than it was to use French crew. And I thought, this whole thing's got completely out of balance. That was many years ago. I have no idea what it's like now. But it was absolutely fascinating. We were a Disney film, I think, Ever After. I can never remember.
Oh yeah.
Or it was Disney, or it was Disney. It could have been Universal. I get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a studio, American studio film. But we seemed to be working at English. It was better to bring English people. That we had. Huh? The French are great. I mean, I've worked with lovely French people, and they're fabulous. Most costume people are actually not the same, but well, no. But yes, called the Hartman.
Kind of a certain, just a certain type of person, no matter where you're from.
Yeah.
It was like the lady last night who was from Peru.
Oh, she's from Serbia.
Slovakia. So it was like that.
Yeah. Bojana. Yes. Yeah. She is. I mean, yeah. And we all just sort of slot in wherever. I worked in Prague with it on Whitebird with a totally Czech crew. Absolutely all the same as my English crew. Wonderful guy doing the crowds, the supporting artists, and wonderful on set, brilliant on set. Tracksuit person, Sharka, one of the best I've ever worked with. Actually, they all speak English, and it's great. Tried to improve my chat. But it was, and the dyers, the ages, yeah, and the dresses were just what?
Well, I think we about covered it.
We've done our best. I'm sure there's loads we haven't talked about, but I think we've
Done a lot. We'll just have to schedule another one for next.
perfect. I'll be up for it.
Thank
Great.
you so much for making the time. I know you have a million things planned for the short time you're here.
It's been lovely to talk. And I hope it's given people a little insight into our crazy world. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody take care.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Oh, if you're the